So I picked up this book. It says design thinking for dummies. It was all in pictures. And I really liked it. I was like, I like design, I like thinking, so design thinking must be something that is interesting to me, right? So I picked that book up, read the book, and then I went back to my management and said, I want to tell you guys a very interesting idea called design thinking. And like me, all of them were thinking, design, I don't know how to design. I've never taken a design course before. I said, no, design thinking is about understanding what people want and creating it for them. Best if they can be part of the creative process also.
There was this particular small column that was written by Violet Oon. At that time, she was a food critic. It was about this size. All it says is Christmas Eve dinner, $32, 5 course plus wine, with the phone number. The next day, when the article came, no article, it's just a simple column, no advertisement, it's a column. By noon, the whole Europa Changi was booked out. That was the power of the press at that time. Many large clubs, we call them mega clubs, they actually are non-existent. 6 years ago, Singapore had 5 mega clubs. By mega club, I meant clubs that have capacity of more than 1,000. And there were like Zouk at Jakim Street. I remember there's the Avalon in MBS, Zerka in Clarke Quay, which was the former MOS, then Butter Factory in Fullerton, and our powerhouse in St. James Power Station. 6 years ago, on Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, all 5 clubs full, packed. Today, single club Zouk exists, but they are not full on 356. So what does it tell us? The young people are not going to the bars. People go to the bars and clubs to connect, to meet the opposite gender. But now they can connect via the internet. They don't have to pay high door charges, queue up in cramped places, scream above their voice. And they connect, and much better on the internet. And they can meet, in the neighborhood, at the suburbs, have a cup of coffee, wine, much cheaper. Publicity is really something very important to our business. Time and time again, I come back to that. In fact, today, it is very different. I say in the old days, one article launched a club, and can even launch a series of clubs. Today, because of the dissipation through internet, print media is not as powerful as before. And you have to deal with it in your own ways. So social media is one way. If you don't go into it, don't go into that space, I think over time, you fade.
The basic 4 Ps in dealing with businesses. So the product, the people, pricing, and maybe the place. So because the government throw in the cooling measure, the ABSD, and then the whole market kind of just slowed down. But what happened? OUE come up with a new scheme called deferred payment scheme. So that works on the P. Okay, so I'm thinking of an unconventional thinking in terms of how to deal with pricing and all that. And then the deferred payment scheme means that, okay, if the bank can't finance you and those people that are short and tight in cash, then maybe the developer who can do that can support you for 2 years. So then our Twin Peaks, maybe some of you might know, we really sell out fast. And that time I was involved in that project, and I get really the brunt of, overnight, and people are rushing in to views, and I got to deal with all the property agencies and things like that. So it's like we have to think out of the box, and I think that is unconventional thinking.
Early 80s, things were very different. So if you were able to come out with a nice spot that have live band, you have an edge. And today, it's very common. You don't have a live band, there's other ways to do it. So the club concept with DJs and all comes up. So at different time, we face different challenges. But the thing is, we always need to innovate. That means we need to change, we need to keep up the trends. I have a compression theory. Because what we are selling is atmosphere. Atmosphere to me is broadly defined as number of people per area space. The more they are, the better atmosphere. Today we have some 40 people here. What a great atmosphere, you know, for this occasion. And but atmosphere has got two lines: compression, time compression. That's why you have happy hour. You know, everybody cram into a short space of time, and you get more people and create better atmosphere. If not, you would rather drink at home, cheaper, right? Then you have space compression. Number of people per aerospace tells that story. The more people, you can have a big room, but 100 people, no atmosphere. You have a small room, 50 people, great atmosphere. So, in many things we do, we have to kill the time, come up with our own concept, approaches, and deal with the different circumstances by innovation. Let's say in Singapore, I said this, you can't have mega clubs. You do 2 or 3 good ones, because the market is also small, and you have it tight. Because there's what I used to call a marginal venue, law of marginal diminishing return. First one, you strike good. Second one, dissipate it, but still good, because the market can sustain it. And then by the time you go to 4, 5, 6, the market may not be able to sustain it. So you capture the first 1, 2, 3, and then you duplicate it overseas. I think that's one model to go. And with the internet, you can let the world know your success, and they will buy it.
The majority of the people in this world don't drink Starbucks coffee. But the biggest coffee company in the world is Starbucks. So you don't have to create products that is popular with everyone. But you need to create products that are important to people that are important to you. And that's what I believe in when we are creating new products. If you tell me I'm doing better than my friends, that makes me happy. If you tell me my friends are doing better than me, it gives me a perspective. So we decided to rank all 12 horoscopes from number 1 to number 12 and tell them what they need to do. We created this thing called Prospergraph. Instead of writing long text, we created a picture. You just look at the picture, you can find your own horoscope in the picture. It tells you how your luck is. People can go on the picture, it's interactive. You can click, and information about your horoscope will come out. What we think is important is that you have to make this information relevant to that person. But how you package it, how you use design, how you use colors, how you use videos, how you use social media, how you make quiz, make teasers and stuff like that is very important. Because this is what people are interested in these days. So social media, to us, definitely, our target group is much younger now. My average client, like I say, is about 20, 30 years old, who are doing, you know, the more important things in life for the first time, buying their first house, getting married, having kids. I need to target these people.
You don't make them up, do you? You don't make them up, do you? That means you, somewhere, Feng Shui to me is like something, yeah. No, okay, I'm just...
I don't dare to tell you information that doesn't have a basis. Everything has a basis, and that basis comes from all my masters. So when I created a Prospergraph, I will first run through the idea with them, and then they will have to approve it. If they don't approve it, they will not go on stage and talk about it. Yeah, and they wouldn't be helping me to promote it. So to me, it's very important. I am very happy to stand on stage and get challenged by all the Feng Shui masters in the world about what I'm creating, because I know authenticity is very important. I know my information is correct, but I just use a very fun method to convey that message. So when I took over the company, I told my dad, I want to run it like a consulting company. Just like in the 1930s, how McKinsey became a professional consulting company, I want to make Feng Shui a professional business. When I first joined the company, my dad did 90% of the business. 90% of the revenue came in from him. Now we have 4 masters, full-time masters, and 4 on internship. So now he brings in about 30% of the business. So I can say more than he does now in the business. He allows me to make more decisions along the way. The younger crowd now comes in at about 60% of the volume, but at 30% of the revenue. Why? Because they are starting out early. They're doing their marriage day, they are probably getting their baby's Chinese name done, and they're probably looking for their first apartment, which is smaller. The real money, of course, in Feng Shui is when you are doing big properties, right? That's where my father is still holding most of the portfolio. but the young people I can feel like are accepting the way I do things.
Gone are those days where hotel is a hotel, office is an office, retail is retail. Now you see a lot of mixed use. So for developers these days, we normally goes for mixed use, and the worker, the employee, has to multitask.
Among the biggest challenges for manpower, besides construction, is F&B industry. Because locals just don't want to do this, generally. And in nightlife, it's even worse. I often say we are the graveyard shift of hospitality. And that's even more difficult. And there are operators who try to use technology to try to reduce the, requirement for manpower. But, we are atmospheric thing. We are service-based. And people move around. In restaurant, you can still do that. You can do the iPad ordering. You can do conveyor belt sushi. But when it comes to bars, people like to move around to meet other people. So how will you attract them with iPads and all this, right? So it's very difficult. But however, it will change shape because of what I've mentioned earlier, because the millennials are connecting in a different way, they meet in a different way. So the shape has to change, and there wouldn't be big clubs. There will be niche clubs. So how to do the niche club and start the business model that can at scale is what I just said just now. If you have successful one, especially in Singapore, a branded country, you can duplicate it overseas. So it's different. So cutting manpower, I think, in our line of business, the margins is quite good. I mean, we do it well. So with 70% margin, and if you can create impact, you will have and get the business, then you can afford those manpower. But don't scale too big, especially in Singapore.
The best thing that my dad has bequeathed me, besides the company, is his management. I kept all his management members because they are the knowledge base of our company. They know how to serve VIPs. They know how to talk to, the super rich, and they served that group before. I'll be honest, I like to see a person who is fresh-faced serving me, but most of the time I don't like their attitude. But if they are well-trained, say for example, if they're in the hospitality line, having a fresh face with the right attitude works perfectly. And that's something that we need to understand. It's not about getting the fresh face in, it's about retaining the attitude within your organization also, which is where the older staff will come in. A lot of my staff would retire from management role, but take up the roles as trainers.
The customers, when you want to go and engage the younger customers, then we have to be able to segment these markets. Right now, I would say the average age of the biggest segment would be the sort of late 20s to late 30s. And the reason is, the tipping point for people to become our customers is when they become mothers for the first time. I think it's not really rocket science, but it's an application of whatever tools that we have available to try and figure out how to get the customers that's right for you and make your business right for that customer. You cannot be all things to everybody. If you do that, you're going to fail.
My wife just gave birth about 3 months ago, and we bought the maternity package, and it's so good, really good. We didn't get a confinement lady. We did everything on our own, just me and her against the baby.
Against the baby.
Against the baby. And the confinement package worked like a charm because instructions were really clear. Everything was well packaged, and I told my friends, we don't need confinement ladies anymore. The more you get involved in the bringing up of your baby, the better you understand the baby. Exactly, and it's much cheaper to buy the package from you. So I think Yuan Xing's model is really good. You take a very traditional product and you apply it to what's relevant in modern society, and that's what my company aspires to do as well.
People find it much easier to meet on the internet than having to go and put up in a noisy bar. Has also been a trend in our industry, the golfing industry, because the millennials do not have the same loyalty or interest in golf as our generation. We won back another major contract. And what they're looking is how to integrate booking using social media and technology. And we are not placed technology-wise to best leverage on it. So we partnered another company from India that beat us on a contract. And we just went up to them and said, hey, you beat us, congratulations, can we partner you? Which is quite unconventional. And they are taking the whole golfing scene by storm, simply because they've got so many solutions and they're technologically well-tuned. The talent in India is so cheap, which they can leverage. The top management is very dynamic. I mean, we spoke to the MD and said, can we meet? The next morning, he flew out to Singapore. Young chap, very dynamic.
How do I educate the millennia that the safe deposit box business is also very relevant to them in future as well? So now I learned that I have to use social media and I have to word it very correctly. But I need to start building up the millennia to understand that privacy and security can go hand in hand.
I think it's good for us to actually connect with the people that's around this event and to actually talk to them more and to figure out what we can do collectively. For me as an educator, we deal so much with the millennials. It's also interesting to see what the industry expects and how we can, like what my colleague said just now, future-proof their education. So I think it was very, very useful. We hope that you will have more of these sessions.
It really comforts me to know that the people who are my future employers, they're coming from a very good place with kind intentions. I think I'm very interested in technology change and how companies and businesses plan to leverage on the Gen Ys and technology together to bring their business forward.
It was inspiring, it was enlightening, and it was a bit frightening. And I think the reality of this is that you're hearing things that are taking thinking into a really transformational stage.
Since all of us are in a certain industry, and we might develop these flaps on our eyes that we only see our piece of sand that we are working on. And coming to this event like this one, we can speak with other people from industries that we would never cross, maybe in our daily operations, and they can give us some insights into what we can do better